hey there, American Farmsteaders. This is Donna at Hazelbell Farm.
And Jenny with the Granstead Family Farm.
And we are coming to y'all from Northeast Florida as two farmsteaders, doing our best to grow our own food and share our homesteading experiences with you in hopes that you will grow some of your own food too.
Yes, absolutely. And so today we are here to talk to y'all all about composting because that's a big part of growing food. You gotta feed your soil.
Yeah, so for years I've been purchasing compost, and it's really the biggest expense in gardening.
It's a huge expense, and it's one that hits you every single season. It's not even really once a year, but every season, at least twice a year.
At least, as we're building beds, like I keep mentioning, I'm sorry to beat that dead horse, but I'm adding compost throughout the growing season also. So even if it's just a little handful at each plant here and there, it adds up.
Yeah, that's the reality of gardening in the same places over and over and over again, is eventually we are just going to deplete that soil, which I saw personally in almost my whole entire garden last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year, I'm really serious about feeding the soil,
mm-hmm.
building the soil. And for me, I just kind of made a decision, I gotta make my own compost.
Yeah, me too. The way prices have skyrocketed on so many things, I can't let my garden cost more than it takes to buy groceries.
Yeah.
And something I recently heard was if you are gardening for cutting down on your grocery bill, you might be disappointed. If you're only looking for that end goal, you might be disappointed because the harvest is wonderful, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to know that there are going to be times that you don't harvest anything out of an entire crop, right?
Yeah.
You might have 24 pepper plants and not get a pepper.
Yeah.
And
for me, that's cucumbers, though.
Right. It depends on the year. Peppers are pretty easy. Cucumbers can be easy. I've had years where I've put no effort into cucumbers. Mm-hmm. But all of that to say, the journey, that messy middle, not just the beginning and the end, but all that it takes to get there. Compost really needs to be an important part of that to help cut down on that cost. And then when you don't have a harvest, it hurts a little less. How's that for encouraging?
That's so true, though.
We do want to encourage you. And today we're going to encourage you on cutting the cost.
Yes.
With compost.
Cutting the cost. And, not only is it cutting the cost, y'all, but making compost can be absolutely free.
And it's that, renewable, reusable, recyclable.
Right. It's closing the loop on the system.
Mm-hmm. Using what you have. And so all that to say, every single compost pile turns out different. Yes.
Because there's going to be certain times a year where you're able to source a certain material, and 3 months later, you might not have that same material sourced.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be pretty creative and really start opening your eyes up and looking around you and asking yourself, what can I compost around here?
Right.
Because I think for a lot of people, the problem is the lack of a bulk of material.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to get compost to break down, the pile has to get hot. The pile is not going to get hot and completely break down unless it's big enough. That's one of the big factors in compost making.
So we're talking hot compost.
Yes.
Because you could do cold compost.
You can do cold compost.
Right, but it's going to take time, and you have to understand that. It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time. Yes, you can absolutely pile some stuff up and leave it and, not think about it for 6 months. I myself have tried that, and for me, that did not work.
It works some for me. Let's just say it's not very efficient.
Yeah, it's not very efficient. I like the hot composting because you can finish out a pile relatively quickly if you work it the right way.
Yes. And I think that's key that people need to understand is that there are some steps to make it work.
Yes.
Quickly and efficiently and well. so that you have a good finished product to use. And so the size is your first thing, like you said.
Size is the first thing. I mean, go ahead and aim to have your pile 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall.
Yep.
Loosely.
3 by 3 by 3.
Loosely, but that's a good kind of size to start by. So, if you're building a pile that's 3 feet by 3 feet, you need a lot of material.
And you need a way to contain it in that shape so that it's not just a dome where the top of it is not 3 feet wide, know?
Yeah, well, and you absolutely can compost with no container. For me, that didn't work because my free-range chickens were constantly in it, and what they'll do is they'll get up on top of that pile and they'll scratch everything out of it and throw it everywhere, and every single day you're having to pile it back up. And so if it's not piled, it doesn't have the opportunity to get hot.
Right, and break down.
You
can use chickens. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But, because I'm kind of going to try something out with my chickens in a hot compost.
Yeah, there are a lot of really cool composting methods out there that use chickens. I've seen it on a couple of different YouTube channels where they're actively using their chickens and still containing their piles. I'm not there yet.
Well, and the thing about it is, this requires flexibility, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, creativity, as far as sourcing materials goes. But you have to be flexible with size. We just said don't be flexible with size, though. We just said it has to be this big. It has to be at least that big.
Yeah.
But you can, if you use your chickens, you still have to do some more work afterward. Like, it still is going to have to sit and compost itself afterwards to finish. I think getting in there and just doing it is going to be just like planting, just get in there and start putting stuff together to figure out.
Yes. So step number 1, I say start sourcing your ingredients. You're going to need a mix of your greens and your browns. And roughly you want to say 2 to 1, 2 browns to 1 green. Your green is going to be your green stuff, obviously, and your hot stuff like manure. So 2 browns to 1 green. You can start sourcing your browns at any time because they're brown.
They're dead.
They're always going to stay brown. But your green stuff, you're going to want to be able to source it relatively fresh.
Right.
Like your grass clippings, because they're only going to stay green for so long because they're cut. And then they're going to turn into a brown. So,
right.
While you're kind of starting to work all this out in your brain, I say start sourcing your browns. Start making piles of brown stuff just to kind of put off to the side until you're ready to actually throw a pile together. Because your browns are going to make up most of it. So, start with your browns.
Okay.
While you're starting with your browns, start thinking about a bin. There's lots of different ways to compost. There are lots of different bins that you can make. I saw a really cool idea online recently where somebody took like a big 55-gallon trash can, just, from like Home Depot or whatever. And she took a drill, a pretty big drill, I don't know, maybe half-inch size drill bit, maybe it was a big drill bit. And she drilled a bunch of holes all the way around the garbage can. And in that garbage can, she layered her greens and her browns.
Nice.
And so, the holes serve the purpose of oxygen because your pile has to get oxygen to work and your pile has to get water to work.
Right.
So not only do the holes provide oxygen, but they also provide drainage. And so she did just layers right in that trash can.
All the way to the top.
All the way to the top, and girl put a lid on it and let it sit.
Nice.
You could let it sit like that and just not do anything, and it take a while for it to break down. Or if you wanted to, you could get 2 trash cans
and dump it out.
Okay. Yeah. You could get 2 trash cans, have one full, and every couple of days as that pile gets hot, let it stay hot for like 3 days, and then you take you a pitchfork and you put it in your other trash can.
Right.
And
So that oxygenates it to help
Yes.
speed up that process.
Yeah, you're essentially flipping your pile, oxygenating it, which helps it really makes a big difference in the whole speed of how things break down.
It really does. I've been using a cooler, and
Yeah.
I don't know what size it is. I want to say they sell them like by quarts, or
Right.
maybe it's like 100 quarts or something. I don't know. Maybe probably not quite that many, but
It's a big cooler.
it's a big cooler.
Yeah.
It is, and it's an old cooler. I didn't put holes in it. I just said no. I'm going to go out there and turn it all the time.
Yeah.
But I haven't. So, I mean, I have turned it some.
Yeah.
I haven't turned it as frequently as I wanted. So it is taking a little longer, but it hasn't even been 30 days, I don't think. Maybe we're right at 30 days. But I peeked in there yesterday and it looks so good. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I'm super impressed. So it's not quite a 3x3x3, but it is contained.
Yes.
And because it's in a cooler, it's insulated, so it's able to hold that heat in. And
I think that makes a big difference.
I really do.
Because
I really
that's
do.
like my bin is an old freezer. And being that it's so heavily insulated, I really think it speeds it up.
Yeah. I'm liking it. I'm dumping all of it out today, maybe, if I have the time before I have to run out again. I'm dumping it all out and I might even try to sift it and see, what I can sift out. And I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna dump it at least and look at it and turn it. So, it's exciting though because it's working. But I think my options are keep doing what I'm doing,
right?
But maybe do it better. Go out there every other day,
right?
It definitely is still hot, so it's not like I know it's not finished breaking down,
right?
I might go ahead and give it to my chickens and let them pick through it in a pile. Like I would use some wire mesh hardware cloth or something around it to keep it together. And that's kind of what I was alluding to is like how people use chickens to compost is like they get their compost started. They take it to their chickens. They let the chickens pick at it and turn it for them. And then they pile it. Like you said, you have to go back out there and pile it all up. So if you're willing to do that, it's good. But if not, if that's too much hands-on, then that's not for you.
Yeah.
And then put it back in the cooler or back in a container and let it finish. So I'm trying to still figure out what I want to do with that. This is still kind of a test run for me because I haven't been able to make good compost since we used to compost our cow manure.
Yeah.
And then we got hit with the grazon.
Right.
So
with all the herbicide junk.
Yeah. So that's where I am with my compost. But you're doing it a little bigger scale with your freezer. So Jenny has an old broken freezer, if you haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
And she's made some pretty good stuff with it.
Yeah. I started with the big, it's like one of the largest chest freezers that you could buy at like Home Depot. So it's pretty big. But what I do is I only fill up half of it. That way I've got a full side and an empty side. So whenever I'm ready to move my pile, I'm essentially just moving it over to the other side of the freezer.
Right.
So for me, actually getting a contained bin was the game changer for compost making for me. So I really feel like having a bin is super beneficial. I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me and say that no, it's better to have your pile sitting on the ground because you can get all the worms and stuff like that in it. There's some truth to that. I won't disagree with that.
Right.
But if I really needed worms to break down my pile, I could go buy worms.
You could just have a worm bin.
But
I mean,
the compost that I've been making, though, is so hot, I don't know if worms could live in it.
Right.
I mean, you saw the video of my pile.
Yeah. Oh, man, it is steaming.
It is steaming.
It's cooking.
Yeah, it's cooking. And I think that the freezer helps that out with all that insulation. I leave the top of it open all the time, though.
Oh.
All the time. I never close that bin.
But it's undercover. Like it has a roof over.
Yeah, it's under a lean-to, so it doesn't get any rain in it or anything like that. So while you're getting your source materials figured out and you've got your bin figured out, Before we go there though, I printed out a list of all the different
Yeah, I was
greens
gonna say
and
you're
browns.
talking about greens and browns. We should
Yes.
give some
Let's
examples.
do greens and browns. Okay, so for instance, the pile that I'm working on right now, I started about 5 days ago, and for us at our farm, it's meat chicken season.
Right.
And my meat chicken brooder has a hardware cloth bottom, and I sit it up on cinder blocks. And I use the finest pine shavings that you can buy at the store. And the really fine pine shavings will fall through the hardware cloth as the chickens are scratching around in it. So all of their poo and all of the pine shavings are falling under the brooder.
Mm-hmm.
And I just leave it there. I don't clean under the brooder until I take my meat chickens out of the brooder, which is about 2 weeks.
Right.
So I've got about 2 weeks of chicken poop and pine shavings.
Mm-hmm.
I hauled all that out from underneath the brooder, threw it in the compost bin, and then my mom raked up this giant pile of oak tree leaves, and there's a lot of pine needles in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was kind of sitting on the fence with using, but I left them in there because I'm not about to try to pick out all the pine needles. And the reason why I was thinking about it is because they're more acidic, but it's fine.
Right.
Everything else is so the opposite of that. It'll be fine. So once you've got those are the only 2 ingredients that I used, because right now those were the easiest things for me to source.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming out of fall and winter, so there's a ton of leaves everywhere.
Right.
And I had a ton of meat chicken poo.
So green is nitrogen heavy.
Yes.
So those are it doesn't have to be green in color. So
correct.
Jenny's chicken poo is her green.
Is my green.
Right.
Right, because that's going to be your hot material, your high nitrogen material, your high ammonia type material is classified as a green. Mm-hmm. So other greens are like veggie scraps from the kitchen.
Right.
Those compost really well. And if you get I have an extra crock pot that I'll keep with the lid on it, and throw my veggie scraps in there if I don't throw them out to the chickens.
Right.
But if you know you're going to get a pile going, get you in just a crock pot from the thrift store, something that you can set on the counter that's pretty, that you can throw your veggie scraps in there, so you can have a nice size bucket.
Potato peels and cucumber peels, but potato peels specifically I have found one of the best things to get it going hot.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if some of that has to do with it brings in the flies and they start breaking it down right away. I really don't know, but potato peels seem to be a really good green to start.
Okay.
It's not something I've read a lot or heard a lot in the composting world, but that's something I found.
Okay. So of course, fruit scraps are fine, although I don't really know about orange peels.
You don't want to use citrus, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard.
It will compost.
I haven't tried it.
It will take longer. I have.
Okay.
It will take longer. And there's a story somewhere in South America, I want to say, that there was an entire it was strip mined, an area that was strip mined, and so there were nothing will grow there because all the minerals are removed, right? And so then they went in and they dumped citrus peels, and they said this was the debunk the citrus peels won't compost kind of thing. You can't grow anything in there. And it turned out to be after I don't know how many years. You guys will have to Google this and look it up, but it turned out to be a really lush forested space out of just citrus peels. Yeah, it's a really amazing story. Okay. But I think the worms don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't tried to do that. So after I get done with this pile, by the time I'm ready to do another pile, my next big source of green coming off of my farm is going to be grass clippings.
Yes.
Grass clippings make amazing compost, but I have found, though, that when you layer in your grass clippings, you have to do them really fine. You can't do a thick layer of them, or it just gets all anaerobic.
It's gets matted together. Yeah.
It gets matted together, and sometimes it gets slimy and it gets gross. Mm-hmm. So the thinner you can kind of sprinkle in those grass clippings, the better.
Your brown leaves get that way too. If it get too many brown leaves on the bottom,
Yeah. So grass clippings is a good green. Tea bags, coffee grounds.
Mm-hmm.
We all have coffee grounds. Let's be real.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So coffee grounds work really good. Coffee filters. Green leaves.
Yeah, like green weed leaves.
Yeah, there's been times where I've needed more green for my compost, and I've just went around to my landscaping bushes around the house and trimmed those up.
Yeah, and I was going to say that's something else I've heard is, growing something near your garden just for the purpose of composting.
Yeah, which is why I put banana trees.
Yeah, I was going to say,
garden.
like banana leaves work well for that.
Yeah, that works really well. And when I had 2 papaya trees, that was an amazing source of green, but they both died, so moving on. Garden clippings, old stuff coming out of your garden. You know, this time of year, I've got like mustard greens that are finishing up that I could use in the compost. Although my sheep really love those.
Yeah, I have some cabbage leaves, like where we cut the cabbage heads out and we left the stalks and they grow new little leaves on the side. Sometimes you'll get some little baby heads that grow back from that. And, like broccoli does the same kind of thing. It's as we clean all of that out to reset for our spring, summer garden, a lot of times I feed that to the cows at the fence. That's where I grab, they when I'm there and they're on the opposite side, they know, she's got the green treats. Yeah. And they'll come talk to me at the fence and that's where I grab handfuls for them. But, as I pull all of those out, those are my greens right now.
Yeah. And I know for a while you were cleaning stuff out of your garden and storing it in a bag in your freezer.
Yeah, not just the garden, but the kitchen scraps.
And that kind of kept them green until you were ready to start making your pile.
Yes.
Yep. So that's a thought too. That was a good idea.
Yeah, if you have space for it, for sure.
So the next thing on this list for greens is lake moss and algae.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Never even thought of that.
Okay. Why not though? I mean, I know seaweed. Some people will use seaweed or kelp.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Hedge clippings, which we just talked about. I mean, I went right around and just cut a bunch off the bushes that line my porch.
I'm to the point now, like where if Eric is doing that, if he's cutting trees and that, I'm like, hey, I need you to drag him over here.
Right.
He's like, no.
Old flowers, nettles. Oh, I just started a new little thing with stinging nettles. I started following this guy on Instagram. I can't remember his name because it's like some weird Instagram name. But he was taking stinging nettle and he had a big glass jar and he was fermenting it in backstrap molasses.
Ooh.
In a big jar. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this we have going on here? Because number one, I have a ton of nettles in my yard. 2, I've been trying to think of different ways to harvest them and use them because we have so much of it. And so 3, I went out and bought backstrap molasses and started a big jar of it. Although I didn't do straight backstrap molasses, I went ahead and started it like a compost tea. And so I got a 5-gallon bucket, read the directions on it's actually something that I bought called Earth Juice, High Bricks.
High Bricks.
High
like
Bricks.
B-R-I-X?
X, yeah.
Okay.
And so weird name. Yeah. And so I just read the directions on that, and it was like, it ended up being like 20 tablespoons of this Earth Juice stuff to water. And then I put a ton of stinging nettles in there. So that's been sitting for about a week. And so the backstrap molasses it basically provides a sugar for the good bacteria to feed on.
Right.
To kind of kick things up and like make stuff come to life in that little 5-gallon bucket.
So the nettles go in green?
The nettles went in green.
So then do you strain them out?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Like, because aren't they still stinging?
No, I mean, once you get them wet and once you cook them, they don't sting.
So I guess fermenting is like cooking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, yes, that liquid, it'll be heavily, heavily strained because my nettles had already went to seed.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
I know.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm either going to love this or I'm going to totally regret it.
We shall see.
But no, I have 70% shade cloth. When I make like the swamp water, which is another composting idea, but when I've been making that swamp water, seeds inevitably go in there because stuff just goes to seed.
Right.
I filter it through 70% shade cloth, like folded over 4 times, and I'll filter it a couple of times. And you would not believe all the seeds that get caught in that shade cloth.
Wow.
So that nettles stuff is definitely going to have to be filtered. Like,
I just use a paint strainer.
a paint strainer.
Like, yeah, like in the paint department at your big box, like at Home Depot.
Okay.
It fits in a 5-gallon bucket. Oh. And it's like $2. And it has elastic on the end.
Me, I'm just out there struggling with this 40 feet of shade cloth.
I'm picturing it. So we used to use that when we filtered honey, when we filtered beeswax out of our honey. And so I started using it to filter everything. Yeah.
It's like a giant coffee filter.
Yes. Yes. Nylon. It's nylon netting.
New world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have to buy one of those.
I'm glad I enlightened you today. Save you some time.
Okay, so moving on through our list.
Barnyard manure. We talked about that.
Yeah, barnyard manure, no cat, no dog manure.
They say no
obviously.
pig also. I use pig manure and it is composting down well. I mean, some people say it's too much like human poop, but I don't know. It's working.
Okay.
I think the other thing is how long are you going to let it compost? How long before you use it, you know?
Right.
And so a lot of people will use that, you know, for over like 6 months or something. And then where are you going to use it? What I'm using right now, what I'm composting right now, I don't know where I'm going to use it. And it depends on how much it breaks down.
Yeah.
So like if it's not very broken down, I think it is, honestly. But if it's not, then I can use it around my fruit trees and my mulberries and blackberries and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So.
Seaweed and kelp, which we already
mentioned.
kind of talked on, and then weeds, which we are actually already talked about. So that's kind of like your basic list of greens.
Real quick before we move on, one thing that I have done in the past is I've thrown stuff in my blender. And like my kitchen scraps. So you take that crock and you just run it through your blender, and it gets that breaking down process started quicker.
That's a great idea.
You might have to add a little water to it, but it's been really good.
Yeah.
And even not composting it, I've used that and like I've done like a combination of banana peel, coffee grounds, eggshells, and some water, and poured that straight over my plants. Like right at the base of my plants. And some things like it more than others because that coffee grounds can be acidy. You don't want to overdo that, but it's worked really well for us.
It's a great idea. Speeds up the process, I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay,
so browns.
Browns, obviously. Okay, so I will start the brown conversation by saying, keep in mind here, how fast do you want your pile to break down? Is this going to be a pile that you just throw off in the corner and you let sit there for 6 months to break down on its own? Or is this going to be a pile that you're actively turning and that you want to be finished? Because if you build your compost pile the right way, I'm telling you, you can have compost ready for your garden in about 20 to 30 days.
Wow.
If you choose the right browns.
Okay.
You know, on this list of browns, you know, there's wood chips in there.
Those are going to take a while.
Wood chips are going to take a while. There's twigs and branches.
Those are going to take a while.
Those are going to take a while. You know, that stuff like that works good in like hugelkultur. You know, because it's underground and it has a lot of time to break down. So if you want a quick compost pile, you want to go with really thin browns like leaves.
I've even seen where it's recommended to run over your dead leaves with a lawnmower in a bag. To chop them up.
Or as you're building your pile, crunch them up in your hand and drop them in there.
Right.
But yeah, any way that you can start kind of breaking it down, it'll make it process a little bit faster. Like I buy cattle cubes, and they come in plain brown paper bags. And I'll sit there and I will rip those brown paper bags up into like little strips, you know, to go ahead and start the process of it breaking down. So, straw, hay, you can put in there, but there's an herbicide risk with hay.
Right. So you need to make sure you know where your hay is sourced from, and the only way to do that is to talk with the farmer who grew it.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
And in my experience, hay is kind of on the list of things that take a long time to break down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really need a lot of nitrogen in there with the hay for that to work well.
Yep. Tree bark is on the list. Again, that's kind of like using a pine bark mulch type of a thing. It would take a long time to break down. So it's not that it's bad, it just takes a long time. Newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
And cardboard. Yeah.
Newspaper and cardboard, those are all going to break down relatively quickly. Paper, sawdust, which is kind of like using pine shaving, you know, like my pine shavings are really, really, really fine. So.
And yours are soaked with manure and urine. I mean,
yes.
Like when you're saying pine shavings as your brown, it's kind of like a brown green.
It is.
You know?
It is.
And so those heavier browns work well when you have a lot of green.
Yep. Pine needles, pine cones. Okay, another one that would probably take a long time to break down, but you could do it. Eggshells.
I've never heard of that called a brown.
I didn't realize eggshells would be a brown either.
Okay.
Paper towels. And cotton fabric is the last one on the list.
Nice. Oh, I have seen that. It does take some time though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would imagine.
I have seen, I mean, you've okay, so cows like to eat things. We have one cow in particular that if we leave a jacket hanging on the fence, or she finds a glove, or, you know, when the kids were younger and they'd leave socks everywhere where the cows were, she would eat them.
Right.
They pass through, they find their way in the dirt, and we'd find them months later, a half pooped out sock, right? But they are breaking down. Now, it has been through the cow, like that. There is some breaking down process that happens just in her mouth. Like they will put a hurting on some cotton. Yeah. But I have seen where it has broken down in the ground too, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do think that's going to be one that takes a while, though.
I would think that it would take a little while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another brown that I have been thinking about loosely kind of playing around with is sheep wool.
I was just going to say wool and hair.
Yep. I put hair in my garden before. It takes a long time to break down. That hair was there for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that all of these things have in common, and that you guys can like take away from this conversation, is that these were all things that were once alive. Right?
Yeah.
Like they all came from living things. That's what your compost is. So if there's ever a question of, can I compost this?
Yes.
That's all you have to ask yourself is, did this come from a living thing?
Yeah.
And then if the answer is yes, then absolutely. It's just a matter of what are you going to combine it with and how long it takes and what method, you know, are you going to do a static pile where it takes a year, or are you going to get out there and actively turn it every day where you get a quick turnover?
Right.
And so also on that note, to think about not mixing together per se to get yourself a cubic yard of compost. Like, can you imagine a cubic yard of compost made at home?
I know.
Goals, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's totally the goal. But if that's what we think of when we think of compost, but think of compost as like the verb composting, right? The things that are breaking down and decomposing, right? And, you know, when we're kids and we learn about the natives and how they grew the Three Sisters garden, and what did they bury underneath? Right?
Yeah.
We've buried lots of animals and planted right on top of it. And that's a lot of fun to do. I mean, it's not fun to bury animals, but when, you know, you have kids who are learning to grow things and learning about nutrition and fertilizing.
Yeah.
You know, when you butcher chickens, to bury a couple of chickens under the kids' garden And we've done rabbits. We've done experiments to find out which worked best, the fish or the rabbit. And by golly, the rabbit worked best. It was interesting. It was really interesting. The kids learned a lot. I learned a lot. So if you have animal byproduct other than manure, you can certainly use that to compost in the garden.
Yeah, absolutely. We have chicken heads that we buried under my giant mulberry tree.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so the next thing after you've got all your greens and all your browns figured out, what you're going to use, you've got your bin.
Right.
You need to build your pile.
Okay.
So what you need to do is you need to start and end with finished compost.
Oh, okay.
Even if that means going out to the store and buying a bag of, $5 compost.
Right.
So at the bottom of your bin, because the reason why you start with that is it has the beneficial bacteria in it
Right.
that you need to get your pile going. So put down a layer of finished compost first. And as you're building your pile, if you want a quick pile, this is because I only do quick piles, so.
I'm impressed because I have never done quick piles until recently. So I'm still learning. Like it's a dabbling thing for me.
Yeah. So when you're building a quick pile, you want to essentially only have to water it the very first day.
Okay.
The day that you're building it. You want to put enough water in your pile where it's good for the whole 20 to 30 days.
Okay.
Okay. So you get your layer of compost in first, say a half a bag of compost on the bottom of your bin. After you do your half a bag of compost, you can go ahead and you can either start with your greens or your browns, it doesn't matter. But you're going to layer it 2 browns to 1 green. So I'll do a thin layer of green and then a thicker layer of brown.
All right.
Every time I put something in the bin, I get the water hose and everything gets pretty thoroughly moistened.
Every layer.
Every layer gets thoroughly moistened. You don't want so much water where, like mine is a freezer bin. So it kind of collects water.
In the bottom, yeah.
So I'm not putting so much water in there that I have standing water beside my pile.
Okay.
If you start to see water pool up beside your pile, you're probably putting a little too much water in it.
Okay.
So keep on layering, keep on watering until you run out of your ingredients. And then finish it with a finished layer of compost on the top as like a lid. And then stick a thermometer in it.
Okay.
Like we use one of the really long, I don't know if it's a neat thermometer or.
Right. Well,
but it's really
okay.
long.
So I have a friend who ordered a compost thermometer and she's like, it looks identical to my turkey thermometer.
Right.
Yeah. It looks exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just one of those long, pointy thermometers. So put you a thermometer in it because keeping an eye on the temperature really can tell you when you need to flip your pile for it to process as quick as you need it to process.
Okay.
Okay. So stick a thermometer in it and just walk away. And you will be so surprised the next day if you get your greens and your brown mix right and you've gotten enough water in there and all the planets have aligned. No, I'm kidding.
But see, that's how I
kidding.
feel because it's so foreign. Like it's another skill that we're so far removed from generations that like we don't know how to do this, and it feels like the planets have to align.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you do have to get your pile right. I mean, you do have to have the right amount of water and the right ratio of green to brown and whatnot, but it's not like exact. You don't have to be exact about it. And I mean, every single time I build a pile, it's different. It's different. And so some I have found break down quicker than others. So anyway, the next day, come back, check your temperature. Because essentially you have things in your compost pile that, there's chicken manure in there. So if there was a salmonella problem in there, you have to work on killing that bacteria.
Right.
Or letting it sit long enough to where it's just going to die out.
And then there's weed seeds.
And then there's weed seeds that you got to kill. So for your weeds and your bacteria, you want your pile between 130 and I've heard 150. I've also heard 160. So 130 to 160.
Okay.
Once it gets up to 130 to 160, you want to let it sit for a good 2 or 3 days.
Because it's killing those things.
It's killing it. It's
Okay.
cooking those things essentially
Okay.
and breaking everything down at the same time. Once you hit that 2 to 3 day mark, flip your pile.
Okay.
And then you can continue flipping it like about every 2 days. I'll go out and I'll turn my pile, and you sit there and you turn it every 2 days until your temperature drops, until it smells sweet, like a forest floor.
Okay.
And then it's done.
Okay.
And then you can strain it.
You sift it?
You sift it,
Okay.
yeah. So I have like a hardware cloth sifter that I put right over my wheelbarrow and just work it through that and
get any twigs that didn't break down.
Because twigs and stuff like that, they're not going to break down.
Tree
that
bark
quick.
or whatever those big things are they said to use. Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to break down. Okay. So, and then at that point, as long as it smells good, it's ready to go.
Okay.
Put it in the garden.
All right. I'm excited.
It's so doable. Like, I'm so glad I finally
jumped in. Well,
broke down and did it.
Like I said, like you just have to do it.
You just have to do it.
A container I'm excited to try this with is a big IBC tote.
Yeah.
Right? Because is that 200, is it 250, 270?
250.
250 gallons. Okay. So I feel like that's a perfect 3x3x3 size, right? It might even be like 3.5.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, I have an IBC that my old aquaponics is set up in one of those, and I think those are bigger than 3x3.
I want to do it.
Yeah. That would be a massive amount of compost. It would be kind of hard to turn.
Well, and I know. So the other idea I had was to run a piece of PVC down, like a T in the bottom of it, drill some holes through it, and then one vertical piece in the top, and then just cap it so nothing gets in it. But yeah, have holes kind of running out.
Well, when I first set up my freezer, my compost bin freezer, the idea was I put PVC lines down at the bottom of it and drilled holes in them, and I had my
you had a blower,
my air mattress,
pump.
I hooked up my air mattress pump to the PVC lines, and the idea was to hook the air mattress pump up to a timer where the timer would come on for like 1 minute every hour. But I couldn't find a timer that would actually like program like that. I mean, they might be out there, but I wasn't going to spend money on it. So when I realized that timers didn't work like that,
we have the greatest of ideas.
I know.
The world needs to get on board.
Yeah, when I figured out it wasn't going to work like that, I would just, anytime I would walk by my compost bin freezer, I would just flip on the air mattress pump and just let it run for a couple of minutes. And that compost pile, it finished out like in 18 days.
Right.
That was the very first one that I ever did. And so I don't, the timer thing was an issue because I was constantly having to go back. But large scale composting companies, that's what they do.
Right.
Is they run like big air pipes underneath huge piles of compost, and so they're basically just pumping oxygen into the pile, which eliminates having to turn it. Which is what I was trying to do. I was trying to make it like super easy on myself. But then when I realized it wasn't going to work, I was like, oh, well, it doesn't really take but like 30 seconds to turn the compost pile.
Unless you have an IBC tote full.
Right.
I'm feeling like maybe I shouldn't go that big, but I really want to.
Right. Well, but think about it this way, though. If you're able to finish out a compost pile in 18 to 30 days,
it's worth it.
Why do you need to make more than a 3x3 pile?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because every month you can
do more.
Have a new pile coming out.
So this is where I envision the chickens helping me.
Yeah.
So like I'd put it all together in my chicken coop.
Right.
I'd keep them out of it with hardware cloth on the top. Right. And then when I'm ready for them to turn it, I give them access, let them turn it, pile it back up, back in there, keep them out of it, let it cook. That's, in theory, it sounds perfect. Because like I said, I've got the greatest of ideas.
Have you ever seen the chicken tractor on steroids?
It's just like that, yes.
Permapasture Farms, or is that their name?
I think that might
Yeah.
be right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's a great idea. And I mean, I've watched all their videos on it and it really seems like it would work. I'm just not involving my chickens in my compost in that matter.
Right.
I'd rather just get their poo and throw it in a bin
And do it that way. Yeah.
turn it myself. And
well, I think, you know, like I said, there's flexibility here.
yeah, there is.
There's so many different ways.
Different ways that you can compost. There's so many different ways. There's different bins. You can get the barrels that you spin.
And just use your kitchen scraps with a little extra and leaves, you know, your brown leaves. Yeah, a lot of people do that. That's a great suburban way to compost.
Yeah, so I think the point is that you just have to find an efficient system that works for you.
And just do it.
And just do it. And source a bunch of materials.
Yes.
And when you're sourcing your materials, try to gather way more than what you think you're going to need.
Well, yes. As I noticed, as you wet it, it kind of compacts down.
Yeah.
And then as it composts, obviously, it breaks down and uses less space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, to build and gain a cubic yard of compost, you probably would need like 3 yards of material.
Probably so.
At least, right?
Probably so, because it does break down to be quite a bit less.
Well, all stuff to think about as I go back out and turn my cooler.
Turn your cooler.
Turn my cooler. Yeah, so, and there's other ways to compost that we didn't mention here today. We're kind of strapped for time on any one particular podcast, but you can vermicompost. You can do the trench right in the bed compost. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah, I've seen people take like a bucket and take the bottom of the bucket out of the bucket and you dig a hole in your raised bed and you put your bucket right down in the soil and you throw your kitchen scraps down there.
So the worms can get in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's like composting in place.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things like that you guys can do. And we just want to say that we're like obviously super amateurs at this.
Yeah.
Jenny is way more ahead of the game than I am at this point. But we hope to do a part 2 on composting in the near future where we can bring on a compost expert and give us some tips.
Because we are not the expert.
Right.
We're just here to chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all figure out how you can put a compost system in place, and because it's free.
It's free.
Build your soil, feed your plants for free.
All right. Well, we will talk to you guys next week.
Yep, sounds good, y'all.
Bye.